My daughter might not have to do it. That's the strength. I agree. That's the strength. That's the strength. That's why demand for education today in our country is enormous. No more you have to tell people to educate their children. It's a fact. Whether we are able to give them that opportunity or not is a different matter. But they want. Today it's not an argument anymore. For most people. How much is a different matter. Some people think 4th, 5th class is enough for the girls. In my village they think so long as the school was only up to 5th class, that was enough. Then our family built a school, so now 10th class is okay. Beyond 10th, no. I can't send her outside the village. A lot of villages in our country, girls study up to the stage where the school is up to. But I agree, there is a strength in it, but this strength obviously is not creating a dilemma. My problem is like a Sherlock Holmes story. You know that story when there was a theft which took place. So the guard of the house was called. The judge asked, "What happened last night?" "Sir, I was awake on duty. Nothing happened." "Are you sure?" "Yes, sir. Even the dog did not bark." The judge asked the question, why did dog not bark? Our problem is, why does this picture not evoke an anger, a frustration, a feeling of dissatisfaction, a feeling of uneasiness? So the knowledge, we all have knowledge of what she is going through, but it's not producing the feeling. Kya kare? You understand my problem? So by giving more knowledge, I am not going to make you more sensitive. That's very sure. I can give you more data. How many women, how many villages, how much distance, average distance. I can give you the variance, maximum, minimum, कितना चलती हैं औरतें, वो सब दे सकता हूं मैं. उससे फर्क पड़ेगा क्या? Do you need more data? Is one not enough? One case is not enough? How much more data do we need? Sometimes very good minds are engaged in collecting a lot of data, not because the problem requires that, because that is one way in which I can keep you distracted away from the key problem. I am seriously making this point. So a lot of international agencies, national agencies will give projects to scholars to keep them engaged joyfully. So when in 98 I spent 6 months talking to different secretaries to Government of India, telling them that look, we should do something, we have this innovation database, let us do something at national level. Every secretary, every single secretary offered me a project. Sir, we know what you've done, it's very good, a lot of innovations you have collected all these years. Would you like to do a pilot? I said, pilot to do what? I have spent 10 years, already such a large database exists. At that time we had about 10,000 innovations, traditional knowledge practices. But each one of them offered a project. But this fellow is a dangerous fellow. Offer him a project. Then he will get engaged and not create problem for us. We don't want to disturb, we don't want to stir the system. It's going on well. Thankfully there was a person in finance ministry who saw the point. Why did you see the point, you know? By chance, in the presentation that I made to the Secretary of Expenditure, there was a slide about an innovator from Etikopakka, which is a village in Andhra Pradesh, Visakhapatnam, and this man happened to come from that village. And he said, how come that you know about this? I said, hasn't he done something great? Of course he has done something great. I know everything about this person, Mr. Raju. He had made vegetable dyes for making toys, because children put everything in their mouth. You know, yesterday we were looking at, so toys have colors, pigments, and many times these pigments are not safe for our kids. So this man had developed vegetative dyes to make color those toys, so the children, when they put it in the mouth, they have nothing to worry about. Something very good. So this man immediately sparkled. Oh my goodness, you could reach there. I said, of course. Then he called the finance secretary, Kelkar was at that time, and the story followed and something happened and the budget announcement took place. But the point I am trying to make is, he also did not react. Now, it is very small chance. What was the probability of my having a slide? I didn't do any homework in finding out which village he comes from. Sorry, I must be honest about it. I hadn't done any homework. I don't know whether I should do that even now, but it is useful to know, but I didn't, let us admit, I was not smart enough to do that. I was not so clever. It happened by chance. So therefore, an institutional change in society will take place because by chance, a data observation that you have in your data set will trigger a feeling. So feeling will only come because of parochial reasons. I don't feel very good about it, but the fact that at least he did it where 6 other secretaries had not cared about, I feel happy about it. But I must tell you honestly, that feeling make all the difference. This public policy is not designed by a strategic analysis and a negotiation and whatever you read in your textbooks, This policy change took place because somebody at that moment felt agitated by the situation and then said, okay, what do you want us to do? I said, if you're not satisfied, I'll come after 5 years. If you think data is not enough, I'll collect more. No, we are satisfied. What do you want? I said, well, I would like to have a foundation, a national effort so that we can do it all over the country. With limited resources, we could do that much. And the rest followed. The point I'm trying to drive home is that our model of the world is far too rational, far too systematic, and far too interlinked. It believes that there is a causality. ऐसा करते हैं तो ऐसा होता है, उससे फिर ऐसा होता है. This is the way we have a chain reaction through which we think policies are made and implemented. But many times, not once or twice, but many times, things happen like this. Anyway, let us see further. This picture has not evoked the same feeling that I'm trying to evoke in your heart. Why? Because the theory of aesthetics, which we have internalized in our life, says if things are symmetrical, they are orderly, there is a rhythm in that, then we call it beautiful. It does not matter whose picture it is and what that person is going through. It does not matter. How is it different from any other exploitation? Different people exploit impressionable minds in different ways. Moneylender, trader, this, that. An artist, an aesthetic expert is also trying to exploit the masses by telling them this is what beauty means. Isn't it? So when a delegation has to come and some Commonwealth game take place and you clean up all the things, whenever there is a VIP movement in our campus, all the chaiwalas, everybody is taken away outside the campus, isn't it? Because the concept of aesthetics is, we don't want to see these odd things around the building. That's not beautiful. So we must also think that when we are talking about knowledge, feeling and doing, there is an underlying layer of aesthetics, which is affecting whether or not a knowledge leads to feeling, whether or not feeling leads to search for knowledge, whether or not both of them together lead to action. तो जो सौंदर्य बोध है हमारा, हिंदी में बोलते हैं सौंदर्य बोध means my ability to understand and explore. Saundarya is beauty. The saundarya bodh, the ability to understand beauty, we have somehow over a period of time have been trained, wired to miss the essence of life and only see the packaging, the phenomena. So let me show you another one. This is from Gondal. Gondal is a region of Gujarat which had the fortune of having a very wise king, Bhagwan Singh. This king, around 100 years ago, saw women carrying a lot of load on their head. I am now just showing you how epochal changes take place in one part of the country by the same process that we are discussing now. So he saw that women were carrying a lot of load. तो ही asked his minister, अपने वजीर से पूछा, भाई ये औरतें इतनी दूर जा रही हैं तो उनको थकती नहीं है क्या? हाँ थकती हैं सर. और अगर अकेली है तो कैसे आराम करती होगी? सर, they don't take rest, then they keep walking. If she's alone and she needs rest, she would not stop, because if a woman has to keep the load down on the ground and there is nobody to lend a hand, then she cannot lift it alone, the way physiology of the body is designed, you know. नाभि गिर जाती है ना, तो navel drops, so therefore you can't lift single-handedly the load. So he was very pained. And this king said, so what can I do? This is very painful. She will keep walking. The minister said, yes sir, she will keep walking if she's alone. So he got platforms of shoulder height built every mile, and today you can find some of them in that region called Visamo. So you can keep the load on that platform, take rest, and when you have got your breath back, bend down, take the load here, stand and start walking. In this country, 100 years ago, this happened. How come that in democratic society, so many rulers, see, in hill areas I can show you pictures, Meghalaya, like this, with lot of load on the back. आधी कमर मुड़ी होती है ऐसे. An old woman is carrying load of grass or wood on her back. पहाड़ी पर, on a hill she is climbing. सही है? And it doesn't affect anybody. It doesn't affect anybody. किसी को फर्क नहीं पड़ता. किसी को फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. So, but then the fact is that some people get affected. And those who get affected do something about it. And that's also recorded in history. So history is very interesting. It brings out examples where feelings triggered action. There's a very interesting paper by Stuart MacDonald on the forgotten laborer. He was a historian, and unfortunately, the only paper I have discovered so far, I have tried very hard, and if any one of you can find more papers, please do bring it to my notice. The only paper which shows that labor class, the working class, the laborer also has a mind and can innovate 100, 150, 200 years ago. So what did he do? He looked at the data on the slave sale notices. When slaves were traded in England, notice was given in the paper. I have a slave built like this, so and so, not a scratch on his body, strong, shining skin. These were the words used. And then one person said, but he is very good in adapting machines, in designing new plows. Oh my goodness, he can think. He can apply his knowledge to tools. He's a great land husbandry fellow, etc., etc. And he analyzed those notices of the slave sale notices of the slaves, and found that there were some people at least, some people at that time. Look at how the problems are defined. How does a scholar define a problem? You understand my point? It was his uneasiness with the silence of the historians on the creative knowledge of the working class. So he asked a question, and where would he get the data? A thought came to his mind. People were selling the slaves, so they would have identified the characteristics of the slave. Did anybody characterize the slave in terms of his ability to solve problems? And there came the data, which he then describes in this paper. In Agricultural History Review, 1982 or 83 or 90s. Now, the fact that there are so few papers doesn't mean that this issue is not important, but it does mean that there is a bias.